Well, now, a couple of years ago, for those who have been with me for quite a long time, I'm actually an interior designer. I was doing interior design, I was painting, whatever. So I used to move from place to place all over the country to actually pursue those projects. And one day I met one project that changed my life completely. It was a 36 million house. And this is exactly what happens. Anyway, I'll try to embed the pictures of me painting during those times for those who are naysayers and the doubters and what have you. But if you've been with me, anyway, if you want to check indeed I was doing the construction job, go check my like 3-year-old video. Just go to my channel and check the oldest video, then you're gonna see me out there with paints on my face and whatever the place is. Anyway, I once happened to be on a one project that particular house was worth around 36 million. That's like 360,000 US dollars or something of sort. Yeah. And that project changed my life completely, and that was my turning point. If you don't know, this is exactly what happens. When I was in that particular project, I was seated somewhere on the balcony, and we were 4 guys, me included. So there were other 3 guys and me. So we were having a conversation, just a normal conversation at the lunchtime. What do you think I could be talking about? Probably politics or maybe or something of sort. But I was seated there and I was asking these guys, hey, guys, do you know this is a 36 million house that we are actually handling right now? And actually below the balcony, I could see the owner of that particular house. That guy was around 35, that's around there, not before 40, in between 30s and 40s, around there. And I was like, come on, this guy is that, I mean, he's not far from where I am in terms of the age, maybe he's older than me, like for 7 years or something, or 6 years or something. But this guy has managed to actually build this house worth 36 million. And that thing actually intrigued me a lot. And I was asking these guys, okay, do you think this guy actually is employed somewhere, or like he has a salary, or do you think this guy is actually using the same formula that you are using? By then I used to be paid around 1,000. That is 1,000. That's what I used to be paid per day. This is like $10. Actually it's less than $10, but let's just call it $10 for due to lack of thousand, whatever. I was being paid $10 per day. That is equivalent to 24 hours. Obviously, anyway, I was not working for 24 hours per se, but if I was actually working, say, from 8 all the way to 5 p.m., I mean, this is the most productive time of a human being. So beyond this, and of course, this is actually an active job, which you need to work with your hands. Of course, it was tiring. So by the time you're clocking 5 p.m., there is nothing else you can do. So when I say I was being paid $10 for 24 hours, or per day, it makes sense. Now, I was asking myself, this house is worth 36 million. I'm being paid 1,000 per day. Now, how long do I need to raise 1 million? I need 1,000 days to raise 1 million. That means I need 36,000 days to raise this 36 million. And let me ask a very simple question. Do you know when I say I need 1,000 days to raise 1 million? It simply means I get a job each and every day. Okay, that's factor number one. Factor number two, it means that whatever I get, I don't consume it. I don't buy nothing. I just get the money, I save it. I get the money, I save it. I get the money or I invest it, whatever the term that you're going to use. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. And of course, me and you know very well, these jobs are actually so hard to get. Sometimes I used to get like 3 days a job in a week, sometimes 2, sometimes none. So you can imagine all those gaps and uncertainties in terms of that job. And you need 1,000 days to raise 1 million, and you need that 6,000 days of them. And of course, this is couple of years. If you were to divide this by 360, maybe let's say by that's like yo, this is like almost tens and tens of years for me to raise this amount of money, for me to actualize this. So at that particular point when I was seated there, it was actually, I had like sort of almost, let me say almost zero chances of owning that particular mansion. And I did something that was quite courageous. I decided to have a conversation with that individual. I went down on the stairs. Of course, the guy called. He was asking some few questions here and there as far as his sitting room is concerned. And at that particular point, I had to sort of ask a question. I was like, sir, if you don't mind, what exactly do you do for a living? And he said, hey, I own a hardware. I'm in business. I own a hardware. I was like, oh, okay, amazing. So of course, this is your boss. You cannot really get into their life like, hey, how did you start the hardware? Like, how much do I need to start a hardware? Obviously, they tend to be like, why are you asking all these questions? Like, you want want to know how much I earn and what have you. So as we were walking around in the house, I was asking some questions like, okay, wow, that's amazing. This is quite of a good house. And of course, you see, you're a young individual. So you're going to have an amazing moment actually enjoying this particular home. And he said, yeah, absolutely. But of course, that comes with hard work and what have you. Anyway, honestly speaking, I won't lie that we had more conversation than that. It was actually revolving around that particular house. So I went back to the guys and I was like, you know what, guys, let's do a simple mathematics. And I did all this mathematics with them seated down. And you know what they said? I mean, it's the guy is successful. He's lucky. I was like, no, come on. There must be something extra that this guy does. Is he using the same formula? If you use the same formula that, if you go ahead and rely on the same formula that we're using right now, do you think we're going to achieve this particular thing? This is going to remain to be a dream at all the time. Probably if we go ahead and do this, they probably will never even achieve it. So the point should be, the formula that you are using, it's wrong. That's what I told those guys. The formula that you are using right now, it is wrong. I think we need to change it completely. We need to not confine our earnings within the parameters of time. And this is what I'm going to share with you. Probably may be very hard for you to understand, but I'm glad one day you'll get this message. You see, the moment your earning is confined within parameters of time, you'll always make the limited amount of money. What you're supposed to do is that if it is possible money to be working for you or making money for you, even where you're not needed, actively, that is exactly when we say you're now achieving what we call the financial freedom. Listen, most of the people on earth, those who are wealthy and rich, over 75% or 85% of them are actually entrepreneurs. They are investors. They are people who have something that they are selling out there, but they're not employees. Because now, listen, the moment you rely on making $10 per hour, or rather $10 per day, and this is a crazy amount of money that you need, then it will take you a lot of time. So how exactly can you change that? How exactly can you transform yourself from earning that way to having a different formula that can help you to move to the next level? And this is what I always tell people. Ask yourself, in the industry that you are in, whether it's formal or informal, you ask yourself, how can my services reach more people and be able to leverage on making more? There is a guy I usually follow on TikTok. This guy, I think, is a welder. He makes the gate, the tank stands and what have you. And it's just a normal, what do we call it? In Kenya, we call those people, or technical people, fundi. Fundi simply means like an expert who makes anything, okay? So this guy, he does his things in a very unique way. He actually opened a TikTok account whereby he moves around with a microphone and of course telling customers, where you are, I will just come, just give me a call. That is my number. If you want to make me if you want me to make you this particular tank, this actually tank will cost you 100,000. This will cost you 2,000. This cost you 5,000. By the way, if you want to make a quality one, you can do this, you can do the other. You see, right now as we speak, we are in the era of information, and we no longer advertise our services. We make ourselves valuable. And this guy, another guy I usually also follow on TikTok and also all the social media, I think including here on YouTube, is a guy who actually talks about construction. He tells you, if you'd like to, build a 3-bedroom house, all en suite, hey, guess what? Set aside like say 3.6 million or 4 million, depends on where you come from. For example, if you want to make this kind of a roof, this will cost you like 600,000 Kenyan shilling. By the way, if you would like to, first of all, if you want to build your house in phases, the foundation will cost you this amount of power. There is something that regardless whether you actually went to school or you're just a guy who learned all these skills in the streets. So you just make yourself valuable out there. And the moment you present yourself out there, you get to be known by people. That is where you charge your consultancy. That is exactly where you get more people calling you. Let's say you come from let's say you come from a certain village called Y, or a certain town called Y. If you come from a Y town, so the only chances that you have is people from the Y town to actually see you doing something, or maybe somebody whom you have ever done something, to connect you with that somebody and whatever. So your earning is only confined with that particular Y. Chances of you going to X town and P town are actually low, unless there is a Y person and there is somebody in the Y town who knows somebody in the X town who can connect you. That's the time you can go outside there. But when you actually have a social media account, for example, right now as you're watching this video, Somebody in America is watching this video. That's a potential client. Somebody in Uruguay is watching this video. Somebody in South Africa is watching. Somebody in Ghana, somebody in Nigeria, somebody in Sri Lanka, somebody in Europe is watching. Anybody can watch this video. So therefore, I'm able to spread my tentacles to more people rather than, can you imagine I was not making videos and I had sort of a microphone and I was moving around my village or my town talking to people. Yeah, of course I can get clients, but the point is I'm limited to that particular place. Then I told the guys, you know what? We are earning $10 per day. Now, what if maybe we were to go ahead and sort of advertise our services? What if we were to go out there and let us be more known by a lot of people out there? And the guys were like, hey, we don't have the equipment. You know what? That can never work. You know what? What are we going to even say and what have you? And I realized one thing. These are the type of the guys whom I don't want to associate with and hang around with. Because this is what they say. You are a product of 5 people, an average of 5 people whom you hang around. And that's why they say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. That was the moment I realized hyenas and lions do not hunt the same or do not hunt together. Why? They're all carnivores, yes, but their mission are different. And that was the time I started to isolate myself. Yes, not necessarily physically by then, because of course I needed them to actually get more gigs in terms of job, but I knew I had to do something extra. And that is exactly when I started pushing my YouTube channel, more, vigorously. And that's why if you go to my oldest video, you'll actually see that I was actually there, with those aprons and what have you, making those video, making it known out there. And of course I appeared as if I was an outcast. I appeared as if I was overdoing things. And of course the prophet is never heard from his village. So of course I keep on pushing that. And of course I got criticism, I got all those naysayers and what have you. But that house, I understood, if I need to get this house, I need to change the formula that I'm applying. If I need to get that particular home, I need to be an individual who actually, you do things differently. And of course, I knew one thing. Somebody used to tell me back then when I was a young man, the fastest way to beat poverty is actually business, because businesses can actually make you more money than you even think. And I was like, you know what? This is the time to get myself into making my skills be known out there, speaking and telling the world who I am. And of course, I didn't have, can you imagine this? I didn't have the resources to make sure that I made the best videos and what have you. If you go to those videos, you can see I was just using my own hands. I didn't have lighting like this one. I didn't have a board like this. I wasn't even living where I'm living right now. My videos were shaky. I didn't even have a microphone. But I never rode on the excuses and the blame game and what have you. I didn't say I'm a graduate. I'm supposed to get a job. I'm supposed to be working somewhere in an office, even though I was supposed to. But I used the tools and the available opportunity that I had to make sure that I place myself somewhere. Remember this and never forget it, that being successful in life is always an intersection of 2 points. That is your hard work and luck. When those two things meet and intercede, that's where they intercede. That is exactly when we say you are successful. And why? This is because you can never control luck, but you can control how hard you can work. And hope will never be a strategy. It is good. Start with hope, but never end with hope. It's a good breakfast, but it's a poor dinner. So that is exactly how you propel yourself and move yourself to the next level. Now, let me be a little bit practical as I end this video. Let's say you're employed somewhere per day. Maybe let's say you're a house manager. Let's say you run a small businesses here and there. The one thing that you're supposed to do is understand yourself. A day will come out, have all the energy to actually run this business. That's where you can actually open an investment option. Be putting or setting aside a certain fraction of money continuously for you to realize that goal in a particular period of time. Yes, it might take a little bit of time, but at least you are doing something. It's far much better than you doing nothing. Number 3, do not ignore the social media. Number two is that do not ignore the social media presence of people. This can actually transform and change your life completely. So if you can leverage on the existence of the social media, let the people know. And I always tell people, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're doing, open your camera. You're selling tomato sauce, open your camera. You're selling vegetables, open your camera. Talk to people. Let people know who you are. If you're doing anything, we are in the era of consumption. Make sure that you open your camera and speak to people. You can actually change and transform. I really wish you guys know what happens in the first world. These first world countries, you find that most of the people, they are out there. People have decided to dedicate a whole channel for their life. They film what they do per day, where they go, what they eat, when they sleep, when we wake up, and of course they do something, they make something out of it. So let's not sleep on our own let's not ride on excuses and what have you. And that is exactly what we can achieve, the things that can be or seem not to be achieved. Anyway, I forgot to tell you to subscribe, but I know you're a good individual, you're a good follower, and I know you must have actually hit that subscription button and follow, and make sure that you hit that like button. Leave me a comment on the comment section, and if you'd like to get my services in one way or the other, my number is always on the description of this specific video. Grab that number. Let's talk business. Nice, goodbye, and see you in the next one.